I wanted to review California's requirements for ballot pamphlets. And ballot pamphlets are authorized in California law pursuant to Government Code Title 9, Chapter 5, Article 6. And Article 6 was enacted by Chapter 102 in the year 2000. So, Government Code Section 85600 requires the Secretary of State to designate in the state ballot pamphlet those candidates for statewide elected office who have voluntarily agreed to expenditure limitations. In addition, local elections officers are required to designate in that voter information portion of the sample ballot those candidates for state senate and state assembly who have voluntarily agreed to these expenditure limitations. In Government Code Section 85601, Subdivision A provides that a candidate for statewide elected office who accepts the voluntary expenditure limits may purchase the space to place a statement in the state ballot pamphlet that does not exceed 250 words. Section 85601, Subdivision B prohibits the Secretary of State from including in the state ballot pamphlet a statement from a candidate who has not voluntarily agreed to the expenditure limitations. Also, pursuant to Section 85601, Subdivision C, a candidate for state senate or state assembly who accepts the voluntary expenditure limits may purchase the space to place a statement in the voter information portion of the sample ballot not exceeding 250 words. If we turn then to Chapter 8 concerning ballot pamphlets in Title 9 of the Government Code, we have Section 88,000 that requires the Secretary of State to prepare a state ballot pamphlet. And Section 88001 requires the ballot pamphlet to contain 13 separate items. Section 88002 requires the ballot pamphlet to contain for each state measure to be voted upon about a dozen additional items, including arguments for and against the text of the measure, etc. Government Code Section 82002.5A requires the ballot pamphlet to contain a section located near the front of the voter pamphlet that provides a concise summary of the general meaning and effect of someone's yes and no votes on each state measure, which is very important when it comes to a referendum. Section 88002.57E requires the summary of statements required by this section to be prepared by the Legislative Analyst's Office. Government Code Section 88003 requires the legislative analyst to prepare an impartial analysis of the measure describing the ballot measure and include a fiscal analysis of that ballot measure, showing the amount of any increase or decrease in revenues or cost to the state or local governments. And any estimate of increased cost to the local governments must be set out in bold-faced print in the ballot pamphlet. Then we have Government Code Section 88004, which requires measures to be printed in the ballot pamphlet in the same order, manner, and form in which they're designated upon the ballot. Section 88005 requires the ballot pamphlet to be printed according to specified provisions. And then Section 88005.5 requires the Office of Legislative Counsel to prepare and proofread the text of all measures and the provisions which are repealed or revised by those ballot makers. Then we have Government Code Section 88006 that provides that not less than 20 days before submitting the copy of the ballot pamphlet to the state printer, that the Secretary of State is required to make that copy available for public examination, and any elector in the state may seek a writ of mandate requiring the copy to be amended or deleted from the ballot pamphlet. And finally, we have Government Code Section 88007 that specifies that the legislature may, without restriction, amend this chapter to add to the ballot pamphlet information regarding candidates or any other information that they want provided in the ballot pamphlet.